Okay. Welcome to, oops, gosh, I've got the wrong thing written there right off the bat. Week 4 of our mini IELTS, our mini Olive, and the IELTS portion of it. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today we are going to review the strategies for each part of the IELTS exam and finish with a focus on the speaking exam. So, what we're looking for today, what are the skills that we need to develop for each section of the exam, and how can we practice them? So that's where we're going. All right. So if you want to look at any of the other classes that we've done, the recordings for each week, the contents are here. So feel free to use this slide as a guide to looking at previous videos. So here we are. So today is going to be the exam overview. And here we are. Remember, this is a test of communication, not data, not memorization, communication. Can you understand what you hear and read? Can you express yourself? Can you communicate through writing and speaking clearly and accurately? That's what we're looking for. So, questions are the key to this entire exam. If you look at if you read the questions in the reading exam, you will know what you need to read in the documents. If you listen carefully, if you read the questions carefully in the listening exam, you will know what information you are listening for. If you understand the questions in the writing exam, how to describe that data. What are they asking you to do in describing that data? What opinion are they asking for in that? It's a quarter of the mark, just understanding the question. But in the speaking, once again, the questions are going to be your guide. The questions are how you understand what the examiner is looking for. What kind of language are they looking for? Right. Hi, Quirk.
Hi, hi. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. All right. So we're going to focus on the questions throughout. Um, there we go. There we go. Okay. So let's take a look. So does everyone remember when we went over the reading test? You've got 1 hour, 60 minutes. You have 40 questions to answer. Do you need to answer all 40 questions? You can shout out.
It depends. It depends on
Yeah.
the mark that you need.
You only need to answer all 40 questions if you need to get a level 9, a band 9.
Yeah.
Right? If you're looking for a band 6, you can miss 10 questions. So you only have 30 questions to answer. So always answer the easy ones first. There are 3 documents. There is not enough time to read the documents. What is there time to read? The questions. All right. So remember, we're reading the questions. We're going to anticipate the answers. We're going to understand what the document is going to be about by reading those questions and understanding them. And we'll also get what information we're reading for. What are we looking for? So most of the time we can get away with just skimming the whole thing. All right. They're not for a special, there's no specialist language, so it's always general. So let's give it a try. All right. So what's the skill that we're going to be working on in the reading exam? Reading the questions first. That's the most important thing. So we've got to choose the correct heading for a paragraph. Okay? Choose the right heading. So how are you going to read these headings? What's important about them? So if the paragraph is going to be about temperatures on Earth, then it should be talking about temperatures all over the Earth, right? There should be a lot of temperatures. It should be different. Number two, what is a greenhouse? So what is that going to be? A description of? A description of a greenhouse,
Greenhouse.
right? Yeah, exactly. If it's how is Earth a greenhouse? What is that? Two things. How is Earth a greenhouse? So that paragraph would be,
About Earth and greenhouse.
yeah, it would be a comparison, right? Plants that grow in a greenhouse should be a list of different sorts of plants, right? Earth's atmosphere. Okay, that's going to be a description of the atmosphere overall. And why people have greenhouses. What's that going to be? Why people have greenhouses.
Justifications of how.
Reasons. Exactly. So now that we know what those headings mean, let's look at the paragraph. All right. This is the skill that you're doing, that you need to build for the exam. It's the speed with which you can read and understand those questions. All right. See how we paraphrased them? We looked at what each of those really meant. So we'd have synonyms and paraphrases and an idea of what we're looking for. Okay, here we go. Here's your paragraph. Which is the correct answer? Put your answers in the chat, please. Have you got the answer? When you're looking for headings, usually the first and last
Tem-
sentences.
Temperature.
Is it temperatures on Earth?
It's a greenhouse.
Which number?
2.
Correct. Absolutely correct. The ways that we can tell, a greenhouse is a house made of glass. That's very much what is a greenhouse. Now, they might have gone on and said things about how that compares to Earth. So we want to scan and make sure, okay, so we've got greenhouses, we need to find out. So we know that it's about a greenhouse, that this is, so it's not going to be temperatures on Earth. It's not going to be Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so we've crossed off those two already, right? It's not going to be that one. It's not going to be that one, right? So we know that it's about a greenhouse. So it's only going to be one of these four. So is there a comparison with the Earth? Do you see the word Earth in here?
No.
No. So it can't be that one. Right? And how about, does it mention plants that grow in a greenhouse?
I see plants somewhere.
Yeah, people
Like,
grow tomatoes and flowers and other plants, but
yes.
is that the focus of the
No.
paragraph? No,
No.
it's not. Excellent. So it's not that one either. Excellent. So just to make sure everyone is how we got there. All right. So at the bottom, let's see. Does it describe why people have greenhouses?
No.
It just says that they do have greenhouses, right? So there we go. We're down to our last answer. There's only one possibility. It's what is a greenhouse? So a greenhouse, so our first guess, our first sentence really showed us exactly what was there. All right. And this is the thing that you need to build up speed to do. Okay. So we see that this is a greenhouse is a house made of glass. That means I would immediately say that's going to be what is a greenhouse. And then I would scan through the rest to see if there were any other answers that fit. No other answers fit, so it's got to be that one. Right. So, what do we need to do with this skill? Practice. Okay. Um, there's a website that I don't know that I've shown you before. I want to show you now if I've got it up. Practice. Yep. So, yep. Sorry, I'm going to shuffle the board around a bit. Get over here. This is IELTS Liz, her reading information and tips. It's an excellent resource. Go there, practice this skill. All right. She has a wonderful list of reading practices. All right. So you can go into, she goes over all of the different reading question types. And there are in each of these a practice exercise, right? So she has the questions. So you're going to scroll to the bottom and read the questions first, and then the article to work on. So loads of practice. It's all free. It's all here. And that is why I have, yeah. Oops. Here we go. And that is why I have this link here. The next one that I want to show you, and I really want to remind you and recommend that you go to this one. Oops, I'm going to have to pause this for a second. Oops. There we go. And, there we go. Almost had everything in the right place. There we go. And the other one is Fast Track IELTS. So there we go. And this is the best, absolute best advice on YouTube. So when you've done listening to me, you can go to her, and there we go. The full playlist for reading is right there. And her advice is absolutely spot on. Okay, so all of these are just trusted sites. If you're going to be using, if you want to go to YouTube, if that works for you, great. She's your person. Lots of practices. See, she's got a reading practice test plus answers here. So she's got lots of practice materials that you can work with. And her advice is excellent. So I hope you'll get a lot out of that as well. Is that good? Yeah. There we go. Right. So there are your resources for that. Let's keep going. We've got too much to do and I'm going too slow. So there's our practice resources for reading. Please use them. The listening test, 30 minutes plus 10 minutes to transfer your answers. If you're taking the computer-based test, there will not be a time at the end, but you'll have time in between the questions to do that. There are 3 or 4 sections. One's a conversation. One is about services, usually. Second is a monologue, possibly about what's available at a library. The third is a conversation between up to 4 people in an educational or training context. We're going to look at one of those. And the last is a monologue or a speech on an academic subject for a general audience, always for a general audience. So let's take a look. What is the skill that we're going to be building for this one? Once again, we need to look at the questions so that we can anticipate what we're going to hear. Oops, I made a mistake. I'm supposed to cover up the answers before I did this. Sorry. There we go. There we go. So we have got some sentence fills. Remember, the grammar will help you figure out what to put in. All right. Write an something. Ooh, what is an? Why would we use the article an? What clue does that give you?
Vowel letter.
Yes, it's going to be a noun because we only use articles with nouns, and it will begin with a vowel. Exactly. List relevant. So once again, we're looking for another noun, but list relevant. So is that going to be singular or plural?
List.
List.
So it's
If you're making a list of something, it's going to be
plural.
plural. Exactly. So this is the key, is to find those little clues. What are we going to be looking at? Have 2 academic advisors read over your blank. If it's something that's yours, it's probably once again, what part of speech are we looking for? Is that
Noun.
another noun? Yeah, exactly. Apply the journal's blank to your article. Okay, it looks like we're all nouns. Okay, and then sign the blank. Right. So let me pull up. Oh, it's there. Whoops, wrong place there. Oh, sorry, struggling with the screen sorting today. Yep, there we go. Here. Yes. There we go. Right. So, and then over here we've got a flow chart. Do that in a second. So let's begin. Are you ready?
Now turn to section 3. Section
Sorry, I forgot to click the yeah, I forgot to click the share sound button. There we go. Now we can begin.
Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation between a research student, Jeremy, and his supervisor. They are talking about the process of having a research project published in a journal. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
So, you're nearly ready to submit your article to an academic journal, are you?
Yes, I think so. I just wanted to go over all the things I need to do before I submit it. And then I wanted to go over the submission process with you.
Great. So, firstly, you need to write an abstract. Make sure it's short and concise.
Of course. I forgot all about that. And what about key words?
Yes, a lot of students overlook this part and just jot down whatever comes to mind. But take some time to make a list of keywords that are accurate and relevant.
Okay. Another thing. Could you have a look at my article before I submit it?
Absolutely. Actually, at least 2 senior staff members should always read through a final draft before submission. Do you mind if I give it to Professor Johnson to have a look at as well?
Not at all. I'd be glad to have the feedback.
Do you know which journal you want to submit to yet?
Not yet. I have a short list of about 3 that I'm interested in.
Make that decision soon, because you'll need to adjust your article so that it matches the style guide of the journal you are submitting to.
I bet that can take a while.
Yes, but after that you are just about ready to submit. One more thing, you'll have to sign the copyright form, just confirming that it's your own work, and then you're good to go.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
All right. So looking at 26 to 30, what have we got? We've got a flow chart, right? So it says submit, and then there's something. Check email for something. And then something happens. All right. And you either get an acceptance or something. And then we've got, it can have a conditional acceptance or a revise and resubmit. Right, so that's given. And revise and send back with something. Okay. You know what we're listening for. Let's go.
Questions 26 to 30.
Now, the submission process. How does it work exactly?
Well, the first thing is to just send it off. You've got to send in the manuscript before anything else can happen.
Sure. And then should I call to check if they have received it?
No need for that, no. All you have to do is just log on to your email regularly, because you will get a submission confirmation once they have processed the manuscript.
And that will have comments on what they thought of it.
No, no comments yet. That email is just to let you know they have received it. The next stage is what is known as peer review. This is when experts in the field review your manuscript and decide whether to accept it.
Ah, they'll never accept me. I'm only a master's student.
Don't worry about that, Jeremy. It's all done through a double-blind method. That means that whoever reads your manuscript has no idea whether you are a grad student or a Nobel Prize laureate. They'll only be judging your work, not you.
Well, that's good to hear. And then what, once they've made their decision?
Well, there are 4 possible outcomes. You might get an acceptance, but a first-off acceptance is very, very rare. Don't pin your hopes on it. You could also get a rejection, but these don't happen very often either. I don't think this will be a problem.
What do you think I'll get?
If you're very lucky, you'll get a conditional acceptance. This means that they've accepted the article and it will be published, but you need to tweak a few things first. A sentence here, a heading there, nothing major.
That sounds good.
But to be honest, you will probably end up with a revise and resubmit. This means they are definitely interested, but you will need to rework the paper before it's accepted. The necessary changes will be outlined by the reviewers.
Okay. So I just fix the things that need changing and present it again?
Yes, but include a cover letter that discusses the changes you have made. The same goes for a conditional acceptance, actually. It helps the reviewers see that you've taken their criticism seriously.
That is the end of section 3. You now...
Right. So, how did you do? What do you think? So, what do you need to do at the beginning? Do you remember? What is what was the word? Did you hear it?
Abstract.
Abstract. Yes, exactly. And list relevant. What was the list to be?
Accurate. Relevance.
Yeah. List relevant keywords. Yeah.
Keywords, yeah.
Keywords. Okay. And then have 2 academic advisors read over your,
Article.
did you hear draft submission? That one went by pretty fast. All right. And you want to apply the journals. Did you hear style guide? And 25 was the copyright.
Copyright.
Yeah, very good. How about the flow chart? What did you need to, what is submit? In order to submit, what do you do?
Log on.
I got send it. So, fine. Just this one. Right. Okay. So these were the answers I got for the second one. I will leave you a link to this. It is, actually, I'll go ahead and put one in this one is from the British Council page. So that's where this one came from. So you can just go to that page and listen to it again. All right. So once again, the skill is read and understand the questions and work on listening for the answer. And you can build this skill. I know you can. Here's most of I'm going to add this resource as well. So that's the section 3 recording that we just listened to. So you've got that as well. All right. I will be putting together an easier to read, not just these slides, but an easy to read guide describing the skills, describing the practice, and giving you the resources so that you've really got a plan, something you can put in front of you to keep working on this exam. Any questions at this point? All right. Still focusing on those questions throughout. Go off to the writing test now. All right. So as you recall, you have 1 hour to write 2 essays. Oh, we all panic at that. You need to write 150 words for the first one. What do you need for me to put on chat?
The link.
The link to the
Yes,
last one?
yes, please.
Okay, I did. So let me just make sure. Oh. Here you go. That's the link to that one. Right. So writing test. The words are easier to, it's easier to write 150 words than you think it is. If you fulfill all the requirements for each of these essays, you will meet the word count without any problem at all. So if you focus on the questions, you focus on answering them fully, you focus on the task in front of you, you will meet the word count with ease. All right. It's a matter of completion. So task 1, 20 minutes. You're going to be describing data. Task 2, 40 minutes. You need to write an opinion essay. And you do need to use a formal style and a passive voice. So there's the challenge. Right. So the notes you make in the first 5 minutes of each part will determine half your mark. If you put your pen down and start writing the minute you see the graph, the minute you see the question, you will lose marks. You won't be able to get above a 5 in 2 of the criterion for which it is marked. These are marked for task completion. That's, did you understand what you needed to do and do all of it? Coherence and cohesion. Did you organize your thoughts and ideas into a coherent essay? Are your paragraphs one subject paragraphs? Do you supply details, examples to support what you say? Those are half your mark. Your grammar and vocabulary are the other half, but don't lose half your mark by skipping that first 5 minutes of planning what you are going to write. All right. You need to, in task 1, immediately when you look at it, find the data points. Where does your eye go when you look at that piece of data, whether it's a graph or a map? What are the relationships between the data points? Is it a trend, or is everything following the same trend? Are there differences, things going up, things going down? Those are the things that you want to make notes of. Then go over your notes, decide what you're going to talk about when, right? Make those decisions. That time you spent, that's half your mark. All right. And the big challenge is please don't write sentences when you're making notes. You may have thought of the best sentence ever to describe that line on that graph, but only put one short phrase in your notes. If you write full sentences in your notes, you will repeat them. You will write them more than once in your essay. It happens all the time. And it's just one of the things that, and the problem is, if you repeat a sentence, that does not count in your word count. All right. So it's super important not to write a sentence when you're making notes, just words and phrases. Throw in some vocabulary words that you really want to use. You've thought of the best word ever for a rising line on a graph. Excellent. Write it down. Because when you go back, when you start organizing and putting everything in order, you will forget. Okay. And the format of what you write, very straightforward. First sentence, describe what you see. Describe the data as though the person you're describing it to can't see the image. All right. So you need to describe what kind of an image it is, what kind of data it is describing, what details about what the content of that data is going to be. So is it market use of purchasers of bubble gum in Singapore? Okay, that's that kind of thing. Describe accurately what it's a graph of, what it's a chart of, what the map is of. It might be a map. All right. Second, overall, you need to start, and this is the one time I'm going to say, use this word. It's a great word. Your second sentence should be overall. Overall, bubblegum sales in Singapore have plummeted in the last 20 years for some reason. Okay. Overall, there has been and give an overall description. What are the most important things? So bubblegum's declined, and it would seem that the sale of durian has skyrocketed. Excellent. This is important news in Singapore. So a general description of what's happening. And then you write your beautiful paragraph saying, so we can see that the sales of bubblegum have plummeted because it was at 300 this year, 200 the following year, and dropped all the way to 10 in the final year. So it's really declining. So that's where you give the detailed data. Right? That beautiful paragraph with detailed data. And the conclusion simply summarizes those details. So as my evidence supports, this is the overall way of understanding this graph. And you're done. Right? So the most important thing are these two, your overall statement and the details that support it. So the first thing you're going to do when you see that graph is write down, what do you see? What are the most important and interesting things that that data is doing? Now, let's try it. Okay. Right. 4 data points. I want you to list 4 data points. And I want you to tell me 2 relationships between the data. Okay, so give me 4 data points, 2 relationships. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes. What are 4 points of data that catch your eye? Where does your eye go when you look at that graph? Hey, that's a couple of minutes. What do you see? What do you see? Somebody tell me, what's a data point that you think is important? What have we got? What do you see? Anyone spot that one? Miss Salmon? Oops. Rabbit scribbling on these things. Oh, actually. There's that guy. So we've got 2010 is interesting. 1994 is interesting. Which other ones are interesting?
$1990.
Yeah, 1990 as well. Oops, I keep meaning to. There we go. Here, I'll just do. They don't make it easy to draw on these things. There we go. There we go. Yeah. 1990 is interesting as well. We've got 2 of them that dropped. So, all right. So we've got data points. that we've marked on here. Is another one. What about that particular data point? The fact that that line is almost continuously rising, right? So let's look at some relationships here. What is what can you say about all of these lines? What do they all do? If you compare where they begin to where they end, what do all of them do?
Varying.
If you compare this point here to this point here, is the end point higher or lower than the beginning? If you drew a line from the end point to the beginning point, which way would the line be going?
Fluctuating.
Right? So paper had the most variation, because you said that one was going up and down, but all are increasing, right? So you can say that about most of them. So if we talk about, actually, rather than data points, I'm going to put that down here under relationships. So paper and cardboard had the most variation, and paper and glass were declined, right? Had that decline in 1990. Did any of the others decline? No. Right? So we've got relationships there. We got glass going down and then back up. We have that one. Okay. Are you getting the idea of what the data points, what I mean when I'm saying, what are the key features? I'll call it key features from now on. All right. So what are the key features? We've got the highs. We've got 1990 dip. We've got there we go. 1994 peak. Oops. Yes, this is why I was never a secretary. Very bad at typing. So we've got that dip and that peak. We've got the overall relationships of all are increasing, right? We could say plastics has begun, but it's increasing at the lowest rate. We could talk about the rates of increase. Right? So do you think from this, you could start to put together a paragraph describing this? Is it getting there? All right. Well, we'll have more opportunities to practice. All right. I will also send out a worksheet in a PDF that you can use to practice all of these. All right. So thank you. So here we are. Let's look at the resources for this. Here we go. So, best way, IELTS academic writing practice tests. There are examples of each of these with example essays, and they are excellent examples overall. Use them, look at them. They are so important. They're such a fantastic resource. I can't even, it's hard to describe how useful they are. So, yes. Okay. Oh, actually, Corinne, if you want to get on right now and do that, that's fine. We can I can pause the recording.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi.
Yeah, sure.
Just wanted to pop in and tell you that we are having some talks.
All right. So there we go. Practice resources, use them. We've got Fast Track IELTS, she's there, but also this is an important link. In fact, I will go ahead and copy this into the chat. Look at these articles. This is the BBC website, just general news site, but this is the economy section. And in the economy section, you will find, whoops, maybe chat, there we go. In this economy section, you will find excellent descriptions of data, which you need. Okay, so it's a really good place to get language in context about how to describe data. But keep a watch in the WhatsApp group. I will be putting articles up when they are useful. Right, fast through. Task two. Task two. Once again, got to use those first 5 minutes. The thing that is that on each of these, you can practice this. You can practice just that first 5 minutes. You don't have to write the whole article. Just write a plan. All right. Yes, obviously, as you go along, you'll want to write several essays to get used to the language. It'll help. But most important thing is get this planning process down so that when you open that exam, you look at that question and you go, okay, here's my chart. Here's what I'm going to put in. Here's how I'm going to plan this. This is side one. This is side two. And this is how I'm going to do it. Okay. So look at the question, read the question, identify the background information. What is the information that you're given that is not in question? All right, those are the things you don't want to spend too much time on in this essay. Identify the opinion or positions of the topic. Make a chart or a mind map of the points that you think are the most important, or anything that pops in your mind. Write it down. That's the important thing. Think of examples for each of those points. That's important. When you've got that done, look at it. If you've got 2 examples for 4 different things and 2 other things that you don't have an example for, that's great. You are going to write about the 4 things that you could think of examples for. That's how you do it. All right. That way you've got all that information in your mind and you can do it. Decide on your position. You've got to decide immediately. As soon as you have thought it through, you need to decide what your position is going to be. This is very important because to get a level 7, you need to make that position clear at the beginning. That means in your introduction, and support it throughout. That's the magic phrase that gets you the level 7. Clearly stated position, supported throughout. That means every paragraph you're saying, and this is why I think this is why this is the correct opinion. This is why this is my opinion. This is why it should be this way. Okay. Order your arguments. How are you going to work on it? Is it that there are 2 subjects, home versus school, and maybe you do the pluses and minuses of each in those 2 paragraphs? So one paragraph is about home, one is about school. Or Is it that you just need the positive, a paragraph about the positive things and a paragraph about the negative things? And through that, that's how you're going to decide how your paragraphs are structured. But the paragraphs have to have that kind of a focus. It's super important. All right. So there we go. Our format, introduction. Tell us what you're going to tell us. Body paragraph with the first main idea. Tell us. Body paragraph with the second main idea. Tell us. Make sure you've got examples in there. The more real world and the more personal you can make them, the more effective your use of language will be. So try and make it personal if you can. And then the conclusion. Summarize how your points support your position. So the introduction, note there's the same word in the introduction and in the conclusion. They're both summaries. So what we're planning are those two body paragraphs. So it's not as much work as you think, okay? But you've got to think it through. All right. Once again, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to analyze a question. What is the background information? What are you being asked to give an opinion about? You can go ahead and say this out loud. We can work on this one together. So look at words that look at the words that are modal, that are descriptive, right? So the words that pop out to me, you see that that's our two sides of the argument. So we could even do this. Oops. This is how we start planning. Okay, we've found our two ideas. Okay, where it says discuss both these views and give your own opinion. Right? So, animal testing. That's our topic. Right? So, talking about animal testing, what are the ideas that you can put down into each of these categories? And which argument do you think is stronger? Which side would you be on? What are some of the things that, you know, maybe? Can you think of any others? What do you think?
Yeah, it is necessary for vaccine.
Excellent. Any other ideas?
Ethical issues should be banned.
Yeah. You could use computer modeling. Any other ideas on either side? Feel free. Maddie?
Organ transplant, maybe.
Oh, yeah. It's true because many medical procedures are trialed on animals before humans. So that's a good one. First trialed. And we wouldn't have had it otherwise. Right. Great. So that's the process. All right. That's the process. Joseph, which side would you be on? What's your opinion?
It is necessary. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, although this is where we start using all of those wonderful extra words that help you say more from the writing that we did last week. So, although it causes pain to animals, although there are some serious ethical issues, and some people say it can be replaced by computer modeling, I think it is completely necessary that it continue for the production of vaccines, for trialing organ transplants, and the advancement of medical science in general. There you go. There's your introductory statement. And then give examples. So you can use the vaccines as an example of saving lives. So what are some vaccines that have saved lives? There's some that have actually eradicated disease. Like there was no smallpox in the world anymore. And I think we've got polio cases too. So this is where you start putting in some details. Organ transplants. Yeah, boy, all transplant surgery began with animal testing. So we simply wouldn't be able to have heart. I remember the first combination heart and lung transplant. And now they're working on even more with nerves and other things, but we don't know where it can go. All right, so the beginning to the creative thinking. So what I'd like to do, this is a process you can practice. You can practice this over and over again. There's with any of the writing tasks, try going through as many as you can find. Go through the website at IELTS Academic and just practice writing a plan for each of them so that you know exactly what you're, even if you don't finish writing the essay, write the plan. Yes, if I put one on your document, write a plan. Don't worry about writing the whole essay. Tell me what you're going to write. Make the notes that you would make so that you would know what to write. All right. So there's lots of resources there. Once again, we've got our lovely Aisha at Fast Track IELTS. This is a good time to go through all of the levels of British Council grammar and check your grammar. Even things that you think are going to be too easy, go ahead. It feels good to do to take a quiz or to do an exercise that's too easy. It tells you how much you know. And we don't know how much we know until we have some way of measuring it. So go ahead and go through as many of those exercises as you can to just check your grammar. How well can you do this? Can you use it? All right. And of course, as always, news and levels. Lots of things we can do. We analyzed some of those for sentence structure. If you missed that, review that video from last week's class. That would be week 3 of the mini IELTS. In the second half, we go over building up sentences from simple sentences to compound complex and taking apart sentences to find where the simple sentences in it are. How did we do that? So, super important. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back and have a full session on the speaking exam. So, 5 minutes for me to catch my breath and get my voice less scratchy, and I will see you back in just 5 minutes. Speaking exam. Right, welcome back, and we're going to talk about the speaking exam. We'll have a little more time for conversations at the end, so don't worry if you've still got questions. So, off we go. The speaking exam is an interview with a person, and here's what I really want you to think of. The person you're talking to is just like me, okay? You can tell me anything, honestly. We're just there to see, their actual job description is they are an advocate for the student. Their job is to see how high you can go, not to see how many things they can cross off a big list. No, it's to see how many from that list you can achieve. So if you have fulfilled everything in band 5, they're going to be asking you things to see how much of band 6 you can fulfill. If you've fulfilled everything in band 6, they're asking you questions to see how much of band 7 you can fulfill, and on and on. Okay? So they are your advocate, and the questions are their tool to help you do the best you can. It's not adversarial. I know this is weird. Usually an exam is, but this one, no. The examiner is there to help you. It starts with a face-to-face interview with an examiner. By the way, all of the speaking tests are recorded. The reason they are recorded, it's an audio recording, they are recorded because you get 2 examiners, the one who's asking the questions and someone else who listens to that whole conversation afterwards and confirms and gives their mark for their opinion of what mark you deserve as well. So it's not just one person, it's 2. Same with the writing exam. There are 2 examiners for each paper that you submit. There'll be 2 people. So if you get somebody who doesn't like your opinion, First of all, they're trained not to make that an issue. That's not what it's about. And the second of all, you have two people giving the opinion. All right. So the essential skills. First, that big deep breath is going to be your biggest ally in this. Remember to breathe. Don't remember to breathe? Practice remembering to breathe, and then you won't forget at all. All right. It's the most important thing. So let's go. We've done that. So let's look at the speaking, the assessment. Fluency and coherence. That's, can you just answer a question and keep talking? That's the first part. Do you have to stop for long periods of time to think? Or can you just keep talking? And lexical resource. That's your vocabulary. So the more synonyms that you can use for things, the different ways that you can say things, the better your score in that section. Grammatical range and accuracy. They're going to be asking you questions, encouraging you to talk about the past, to speculate about the future, to give opinions and express ideas. These are to help you demonstrate your grammatical range. Now, pronunciation, the only thing you need with pronunciation is clarity. All right. If my Italian students have a hard time, because in Italian, every word ends on a vowel. So they tend to put extra vowels around. And this is fine for the most part, but sometimes it makes some words, it can actually completely change the meaning of a word when they do this. So that is not clear. It's not the accent that they're looking for, it's clarity. Can you be understood? That's the most important thing. That's it. So those are our 4 things. And here's how fluency and coherence. That's the maintaining a flow of speech. All right. If you use a lot of repetition, then you'll be a bit lower. Willingness to speak at length. It's not a good time to be shy. You need to just speak. Okay. They're no more scary than me, I hope. And I hope I'm not scary at all. So it's how well you can keep talking about something. So there's our level 7. You can speak at length without too much effort or loss of coherence. You might hesitate occasionally and maybe a little bit of repetition, but not a lot. All right, not every time. And using a range of connectives and discourse markers, like saying, oh, and after that we went to. So, discourse markers are just things that say what happened next or what happened additionally. So part 1 is an introduction and an interview, as in, hello, my name's Jan Harriman. I'll be your examiner today. And you will say, hello, my name's Yusuf. My name's Wilfred. Hi, I'm Hamid. Pleased to meet you. There we go. Then there will be some questions about your daily life. Keep the answers short, but not too short. You don't want them to have to tell you to stop. So try and think of 2-sentence answers for this part of the of the exam. So answer the question. You can answer the question simply, and that will give you time to think. And then second, provide an example, a detail, or a memory about that question, something that makes it personal to you. All right. So if we think about with that instruction, which of these do you think is the best answer to this question? Which of these is the best answer to this question? So the examiner says, oh, what's your favorite food? And here are 3 different answers. Which one do you think is the best? 1, 2, or 3?
The second.
The second one?
The
Any
third
other
one.
ideas?
The third one.
Third one. Okay, why the third one?
Because really,
Mhm. So the first one, nobody chose, right? That's easy. It's just too short, isn't it? It's not even a sentence. So why is the correct answer is the third one. All right, that's the best answer. Why is that better? Look at the question. Look at the language in the question. All right. Language in the question. What do you see in the language of that answer? What have they done? If I say, what is your favorite food? I ask that, and you say, my favorite food is pizza. What have I just done?
but I think in the question we have favorite and the answer we have favorite.
Yes, I haven't changed the words. I haven't given any new language. All I've done is repeated the language from the sentence. So I haven't demonstrated anything new, have I? So if I say, I really like pizza, I've understood the question and I found another way of answering it. Now, the thing is, what would you then say? So each of you right now, just go ahead. What's your favorite food? If you could pick one dish, you have to pick one dish. So what's your favorite food? Wilfried? Hamid? Yosef? Come on. Mandy? Hadi?
I really like rice.
Oh, excellent. Now tell me about a rice. So now describe a rice dish that you particularly like.
I really like rice with long grain, and when you cook with oil and a bit vegetable.
Excellent. Very good. See, that was an excellent description. Anyone else? Come on. Let's have another one. Hamid, what is your favorite food?
I really prefer to eat fish because contains a lot of good ingredients.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You could also, so when we think about that expansion, think about all of the questions we could answer. So remember in our sentence building last week, we took a simple sentence. Well, I really like this, or my preferred food is, or my favorite dish is, or the thing I eat most often. Every morning I have this for breakfast. There's lots of ways that you can answer what is my favorite food, right? And then you can answer a couple of these questions. So You've already said what your favorite food is. So now, why is it your favorite food? When do you eat it? Okay, so that's how you expand. So we want 2 sentences. That first answer, you give some synonyms, use some of your synonyms to paraphrase the question and answer it. That gives you a little thinking time. And then you can say something more about, I know it's quite an odd choice, but I really like muesli. I have it for breakfast every morning. And lately I've been leaving it to soak overnight, and it's really quite good. Right? So that's the kind of thing you need to say. Right? So think about that. Think about how you would describe something like that. So first section is all yes, Wilfred? Do you have a question?
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, when do we have to expand our answer?
When you answer it, so you if we're going with the what's your favorite food? Oh,
Okay.
here's let's say we have another yeah, we'll do one more, but with what's your favorite food? I'd say, you know, the thing I like best is carrots. I actually carry around some peeled and cut up carrots with me most of the time because when I get just a little hungry, that's what I want to eat. All right. So what have I done? I said what? Carrots. I said where and when and why. I said I carry them around with me. All right. Pretty much all the time. And why? Because that's what I like when I get a little hungry. All right. So your first question is your first answer. So when in these first section questions, you answer the question, paraphrasing it using synonyms or using a different expression, and then give some details. How do you like it? I really like jollof rice. My mother used to make the very best. Nobody can make it anything like hers. I really miss it. And I always try it wherever I go, hoping that someone will make it as well as she did, but no one does. So you're telling a little story. All right. Answering these other questions is like telling a little story. If you can think of the speaking exam as storytelling, it will give you the best possible band level. All right. Make it personal. You'll remember things, you'll think of things, and you will use vocabulary that you've forgotten you even learned. All right. So make it a small personal story. So maybe each of you could write an answer to what is your favorite food in the WhatsApp group, and we can challenge everybody to try it. Okay. So here's another example. What is your favorite free time activity? We've got three free time activities. Somebody wants to study politics, somebody's running, somebody's swimming. And there's the things that you can answer them with to fill it out. So actually, my favorite thing to do when I've got a bit of time is go swimming. I don't actually go to the sports center. I go jump in the ocean because it's nearby. And I do that pretty much anytime I've got a spare moment. So that's not even true. So this is how it works. All right. In that first section. Any questions on that now? So these are ways that you can fill out that where, who, when, why. So that practice that we did on building those complex sentences, it's the same. It works for this as well. And you definitely want 2 sentence answers. Yes, 3 of them is. All right, that's the introduction. Short answers and about you and your day-to-day life. So let's look at the second part. This one's called the long turn. Now, some people have told me, yes, I have to give a talk about something. No, you don't. I want you to tell me a story. If you tell me a story, you're going to use more vocabulary, more grammar, more interesting language than you would if you were giving a flat talk about a topic. Okay. You have 1 minute to make notes. Now, what do you think this has in common with the writing exam? Yes, your notes are important. I have had people come back from this exam and tell me that they they did it, they made notes, and they were so, so happy because halfway through they forgot what they were going to say next, and all they had to do was look down and look up and keep talking. The same thing with the writing. If you make notes, you won't forget what you were going to say next. If you don't make notes, you will repeat yourself, and repetition will lower your mark. Okay? So make notes, ideas, examples, vocabulary. Now, tell a story to a friend. It's only 2 minutes, and I know you can do this. All right. You could tell me about the last walk you took or something like that. But let's look at the kinds of questions we get in this section. So there we go. Here's an example. Describe a person you know who you think is successful. You should say who that person is, how often you see each other, what they do, and why you think they are successful. So now's the time to take notes, to make notes. How are you going to answer? Consider each of these points. Consider those a question. How are you going to address each of these points? All right, what are you going to say about each of these points? Let's look at an example. So here's an example. This is what the person wrote for notes. Do you think that this person could talk for 2 minutes using these notes? What do you think? Are those notes enough? Are there any details to help them remember what the details were?
Yes, we need more details.
Yes, exactly. So if you look down, if you forget what you're going to say next and you look down, you've got nothing, nothing to help you out. So let's look at this set of notes. How about that? So they've added, yes, they've added details for each of these. So we've got her name and how old she is. We've got how often in the past. This is great. It gives you a chance to talk about the past. I used to see her every day, now only 2 or 3 times a year. And what's exciting? She's a businesswoman. Give yourself some notes so that you know what you're going to say about that person, right? What kind of business? So that's what they do. And why do you think they are successful? She had vision. She had to come from nothing. She didn't have any connections. She worked really long hours. And then some vocabulary. What are some of the words that you would use to describe that person? All right. And now from this, You could talk for 2 minutes. You could talk even longer, couldn't you? So that's the key. Give yourself enough details that you can talk, keep talking. So, oops, there we go. And that's it. Then tell a story. So it's always going to be something like that. One of the ones that I've seen recently was, what is a film that you saw when you were a child? Where were you? Who were you with? What was the name of the film? That sort of, okay. So those questions, that's a great opportunity to use that memory to tell an interesting story. Oh, well, my favorite film was, you know, see, I'm so old. I can say, I remember when I saw Snow White in the cinema with my parents. It was amazing. I'd never seen anything like it, but I was only 5 at the time. But I'll never forget the all of the music and the animation and holding my mom's hand when it got to the scary parts. So, something like that. You can always find something personal. The more personal you make it, honestly, the easier it will be. Okay. So, the third part is a discussion. It'll be something about the subject that you've just discussed. If it was something about someone you admire, they might continue talking about celebrities or people that are admired in general in your country or in other places. So it will be an expansion of, so we've gone from day-to-day life to your ideas about a subject, and now they're going to ask you to talk about that subject in the wider world. This is where you get a chance to use a lot of modals. What should things be? How could things have been? What ought to be? All right, so lots of lovely, rich language like that. So I want to show you some examples of this. And I've got a list of clips in my drive. And now I'm going to show you a few clips from, oh shoot, let me find well, no, it should be, yeah. So here we go. We're going to go to YouTube and watch some oh shoot. Oh, speaking test samples, it's right there. Perfect. And we'll watch some of these, a couple of these speaking tests. I've got some of them described, the details described in here. So we've got Gabrielle at band 6 and Hendrik at band 7 and Kopi at band 8. Those are the 3 that I've looked at before. So we're going to look at those real quick. So, sorry. Let me see if I can find Gabrielle. Yep. Is he still on here? Oh, maybe I don't have Gabrielle. Oh. All right. Tell you what, we'll just do 2 of them. Let's do Hendrik.
Now
One of the things I want you to notice with this one is that there's a point, and I often get this question, what if I can't answer a question? What if I don't know anything about the subject? I understand, I feel you. If somebody wanted to ask me about sports, I'd be sunk. So, but I want you to listen how she advocates for him. How does she help him along in this? All right.
You've been talking about a well-known person you like or admire, and I'd like to discuss with you one or two more general questions related to this. Let's consider, first of all, famous people in your country. So in Germany, what kind of people are famous?
Mostly sports people, I would say. Like, our favorite sport is soccer, so yeah, people who play this sport. Famous as well are politicians, but they are not admired or they're not liked or anything
So there's
like
a
that.
difference between being famous and being admired.
I think so, I definitely think so, yeah.
And politicians are only famous.
They are only famous because it's easy to blame them for everything what happens. At the moment we have the financial crisis in Europe, especially Greece and Ireland really have to suffer at the moment. And yeah, it's easy to blame something. You can't blame a soccer player, but it's easy to blame the politicians.
How about movie stars? Are they also famous in Germany?
Yeah, they are also famous, but not the German movie stars or music stars. We don't have a big, a big branch of this. More, American, mostly US American movie stars. But it's hard to, it's hard to think that they are our role models or anything like that. They're living on the other side of the lake and yeah, they're just in the television.
What about in the past? What kinds of people were famous in the past?
Especially in the 70s, 60s, I would say musicians. Because, of this freedom, of this lifestyle we had there. Yeah, these musicians who lived this.
And how about the future? Can you give me a prediction for the future?
Definitely not bankers.
Not bankers.
Yeah, because of the financial crisis again. Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe people who serve the planet and who wants to save the planet, work for this. So environmentally people, would be quite likely because we have this theme of global warming at the moment. It's well discussed, and so I would say this could be likely.
Now let's talk about celebrity culture. Often famous people are used in advertisements. Can you give me some examples of that?
I don't watch a lot of television, but television or see advertisements, can't give many examples actually.
Well, how about for instead of for products, how about celebrities being involved in advertising for causes or charities? Have you seen examples of that?
Yeah, sometimes like for environmentally things. I can't name any celebrities, but it's quite often that they use this image. A celebrity has done something in his life and many people admire him for the one or the other reason. So it's quite a good thing that they use a celebrity because he as a role model stands for something and he stands for the environment or maybe for a product. So the people who admire him wants to buy this product, wants to do something for the environment.
Now let's change to the negatives. What kind of possible negative effects might a celebrity have on younger generations?
Yeah, as I said, they are role models for many people. And this rugby star who was in the television the last weeks and months go on the wrong path and taking drugs or just living the wrong lifestyle, then the young people think, hey, it's cool what he's doing. So he's famous, he has money, he's taking drugs, so hey, that fits together. I want to do the same.
So you think that his behavior actually can influence how younger generations choose to lead their lives?
I definitely think so, yeah.
So do you think that a celebrity has a moral responsibility to behave in a better manner in public?
As long as he is famous, as he is in everyday life, he definitely has. He is not only the normal person. If he is at home, it's okay what he's doing. I don't care. But at the very moment he goes public or is in television or in the newspapers, he definitely has a responsibility because millions of people are watching what he is doing.
So would you say that there's an obligation that a person who becomes famous, they have an obligation to behave in a more ethical or moral manner?
Yeah, and if he can't stand this pressure, then yeah, he should take care that he's not being famous. No, somehow, I don't know whether it's possible somehow, but yeah, there is this obligation definitely.
Well, thank.
There you go. So, did you hear when she helped him out? Did you hear the moment when he said, I don't know anything about that? I never watch television.
Yes.
Okay. So when I say the examiner is your advocate, I'm not kidding, am I? I really wanted you to see the example of that. It's really important. And that was a band 7. He made a lot of mistakes, didn't he? So we don't have to be perfect, but he had a good range of vocabulary, particularly good range of vocabulary. Let's take a look at Kopi. Hopefully, it's not a problem if we're going to run over because we took a few minutes off in the middle. So, yes, Wilfred, question.
So my question is, when the examiner asks you a question and you don't know the question, can you say, I don't know, or I don't have any idea?
Well, did you see how he said, I don't see any advertisements?
Yes.
He said, I don't know about people advertising things because I don't watch television and I don't really see advertisements. And what did she do? She changed the question
Okay.
so that he
Yes.
could answer it. Okay.
Okay.
So the chances of them coming up with something that you know nothing about is pretty much nil. That's not the point. This isn't a
Okay.
test about that. The test is to see how much language you can produce, not can you talk about astrophysics. That's not the point. The point is, can you talk about an everyday topic? Okay.
Okay.
So it's most likely to be some kind of a social issue. Like I said, it will be related to the card that they give you. So that could be important people, films, things like that. So there's loads and loads of things that they can ask about that are more general than that. Could be something about the environment. And this is why, what is it that I encourage you guys to do constantly? That would be read news and levels articles, listen
Yes.
to 6-minute English, look at subjects you've never read or listened to before, okay? Because that will
Okay.
give you the general vocabulary. We're trying to broaden your vocabulary so that whatever they throw at you, you've got the language to handle it. That's what those articles are for. Okay. It's to stretch your vocabulary so that no matter what subject they throw at you, you can do it. All right. So let's look at one more if you can stick with me. I'll certainly do this for the recording. But this guy's wonderful. It's only 4 more minutes.
We've been talking about a well-known person that you like or admire, and I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this.
Okay.
Let's consider, first of all, famous people in your country. So in Botswana, what kind of people become famous?
Famous. Probably musicians would get more attention, mostly because music is an everyday thing. Everybody can listen to it. Everybody can contribute towards it. So I guess it reaches a lot of people. So in that way, I think mostly musicians. Yeah.
Is that the same as in the past? In the past, were musicians also celebrities?
I don't know. I'm not sure whether celebrities is the right word to use. But yeah, well known, I think, would be the one. Yeah, in the past, I think it's also been like that because even the old generation were reaching out through music. So yes, in some way, I believe, yeah, still the same.
What about in the future in Botswana? Who do you think are going to be the famous figures?
Movie people. I'm not. I don't know.
Movie people? Is the film industry developing?
It's a growing country, so it's growing in every respect. So I wouldn't put it past them to see the next I don't know, Brad Pitt out of there. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about celebrity culture now. How are famous people used in advertising?
Well, same music. It reaches out to people, so the government and other companies and other bodies in the country are trying to use music to reach out to people and pass the message. So in that regards, I think music is playing a part in that way. So
Are there other commercial reasons?
commercial, I think my country is not really commercialized at the moment. It's not really.
How about in general?
In general, I don't know. Not really. Yeah.
Well, how about negative effects? How can celebrities create a negative effect in our youth?
Well, there seems to be a growing trend among our celebrities to be taken to recreation drugs and stuff like that. So I see that as a, step back. I see it's affecting our nation. So it's one of those things you'd want to get rid of, but it's probably going to take a while. So.
Do you think that the actions of one person can really impact an entire generation like that?
Definitely, yeah. It can have a ripple effect on it. It depends on how we as a society are going to take it. How we perceive people and how we, absorb what they bring out into the community, really. Yeah.
How about influencing public opinion? Can you think of any ways in which famous people might be used to influence public opinion?
Probably politically, I think.
How so?
Because you'd see them out there in the rallies, political rallies, advocating for other, political candidates, and I think in some way, especially the youth, they're easily influenced by, what's the trend, who's doing what, and if I was a musician and I'm going for a particular political candidate, it's quite easy for them to follow that way. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That's the end of the speaking test.
Thank you.
So,
now, we've been talking about a well-known person.
There we go. I just want to give you this link so that you can watch all of these. So keep watching. So I'm giving you that link in the chat. And yeah, there we are. So, did you see how there were questions that he couldn't answer that were not appropriate for his country that he was for Botswana? That there were several times when she needed to change the question so that it was something he could answer, and she did, because that's the point. All right, the point is making it something that you can speak about, because that's what they want to see. How well you speak, not can you, do you come from a first world country? Yes, Wilfred, go on.
So, teacher, I'm sorry. Between Kobe Botswana guys and the Germany guys, I think
Yes.
the Germany guys, did better than Kobe Botswana guys?
He made more errors.
No,
Kobe
but
didn't.
the
Kobe
Kobe,
paused more, but his sentences were more accurate.
but Kobe, it was difficult to Kobe to answer all of the question. You understand?
Yes, but it wasn't about answering the questions. It was about producing complex language, using extensive vocabulary, and accuracy. There's nothing in there about being able to answer the question. It's about being able to communicate. Remember?
The communication.
Yes. So he was
Okay.
better able to express himself more accurately than our German friend there. Okay. So I really recommend using use that playlist. Listen to them. Listen to some of the lower ones as well. It will give you a lot of confidence because all of you are much better than anyone at the 5.5 level or even 5 or 4. You're much better than that. So anyway, so I really hope this has convinced you that the examiner is your advocate. All right. They will change the question to make it something you can answer. And don't forget to take a big deep breath. You hear how it changes the tone of my voice? As soon as I take a big deep breath, I get tense and there I am. Now I can speak clearly again. Don't forget to take a big deep breath. Get in the habit of taking a big deep breath and you won't forget. All right. So practice resource. There's the link for the exam recordings. Do use Aisha's wonderful Fast Track IELTS speaking playlist. Absolutely wonderful. And of course, all of the materials can be found on my practice drive as well. So anyway, thank you so much. I know we've gone over a bit, but thank you so much for joining me today and working so hard. I'm going to end the recording now. And
thank you, teacher.
I hope to see you in a future
Can
class.
you share in the chat? Can you share the link on the chat, please?
I'm not ending the meeting. I'm just ending the recording now.
Sorry.
That's okay. And we'll definitely continue this. Please join the WhatsApp group to continue studying. All right. And now